Hello and welcome to Crystal Clear Coaching. You're speaking with Crystal here. I am coming on here on a daily basis for all of January, potentially and beyond. But yeah, the commitment is for January for now, because I want to keep showing up and adding value for this coaching community that I'm building. And consistency. It's a hard one for me and my ADHD neurodivergent brain, and a lot of our brains. So anyway, I just thought, let's just make it a non-negotiable. And it's my one habit I've been really good at keeping at. In all honesty, I already filmed a video, but it ended up just being me chatting with myself, refining what is important to me out of the habits so that I stop getting overwhelmed by them and then just basically doing all but this one of showing up here, usually way later at night than I meant to. So had that little chat with myself, and I won't bore you guys by sharing that one because it is just me figuring my shit out. So anyway, the shit that I did figure out is that I'm sticking with posting a video to YouTube daily. And I want to refine how I'm meditating to be listening to my personal tune-in that I've recorded, or I might record a new one and refine it, but also I need to be as easy as possible right now. So I've already recorded one. I'll listen to that one. It'll help me visualize, tune in for my intention for the day, connect, meditate, all that. And then after that, I then journal. It can be as easy as write one sentence, write a handful of words, and then it doesn't need to be a narrative storytelling 3-page epic, So just taking the pressure off a little bit of these habits, because I found myself so overwhelmed today. I had the entire day off. I really haven't done much with my day other than doom scroll and have a really long nap. So, it's kind of a great day in a way, but it'd be better if I wasn't punishing myself. It would be better rather than doom scrolling, just to, just fully decided to lean in and binge a TV series or something. But but I was telling myself I couldn't do that because I should do all these productive things, which I then procrastinated on, and here we are. This is part of my life that I want to be less of my life, and guess who's in control? What's the daisy? Anyway, and then, I do want to move my body, but I'm just going to let it just be what naturally happens at the moment. I'm not going to actually have that be a daily habit, because just getting to work, which is usually about 4 or 5 days a week at the moment, I will have to walk at least 10 minutes to the tram, and then obviously a return trip, and so it's something. It's not, I know 20 minutes ain't heaps, but it's something. And I would like to get to the point where I'm doing yoga on a more regular basis. But again, maybe it's just that I stick to those core few first habits first, and then we'll add others as I have them become more of a tried and true path habit at a certain time. Like that. Like my meditation, my visualization, my tuning in really does need to be at the start of the day. So I need to allow time for that. I need to not press my alarm again if I know I've only got so much time before I have to run off to work. If I do need to run off to work before I can do all that, I have to choose to not get distracted by entertaining myself with stuff on my phone or whatever I'm doing on the train. And I can just, if I have a seat, or even if I don't have a seat, just I'll have my headphones on usually anyway, so I'll put them on and just listen to my tune, and then, the journaling might be a bit harder on that point, but can I at least, consider a sentence that I want to write in my journal later and memorize it or something, I've got to figure out ways around it, but then at the same time, I'd prefer to do it as a ritual without it being crowbarred into, my travel time where my mind's trying to switch to work mode and yeah, but my travel time is not short. It's over an hour at the moment. So yeah. Anyway, it's just a way of like not, even if I've already lost the plot at that time of day, I can regain the plot quickly. Is my point. Yeah. So all my other habits, yeah, they're nice to haves. I'll work towards doing them occasionally, but it's not. Yeah, I just need it to not be overwhelming. So, yeah, here's me thinking I would get to adding a habit every day for 31 days. I got to day 9 and then have just been abysmal since then. Well, not abysmal. I did keep showing up here daily, and that is something to be said. So there is something to be said for that. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, it's interesting. So if anyone else goes through this kind of journey in their mind of overthinking, how can I shift my habits? How can I show up better? How can I stop being frustrated with myself? Clearly I feel you. Clearly I feel you. I understand. But how we've got to look at what parts of us, I've talked in other videos about parts work. So in any there's a part of us that comes up in certain situations that tells us you can't do that. When a part is triggered, it comes up and it says, we've got to do this way in order to survive. But it's often a childlike part of you that has not realized that that part is frozen in time when you were 6 years old and your parents were yelling at you or something. And in order to survive, you thought you had to be quiet because that's how you survived last time. Or maybe it was the opposite. You thought you had to yell back. And so that's how you react to all situations. And that part, whenever it's triggered and it feels like it's the same situation, your subconscious is generalizing it down to the same situation. Your subconscious then decides, it's the same thing. So we better in order to survive, we better react the same way that we did last time. And yeah. So that leads to a 6-year-old part of you running the show. And that's just one part. We have so many parts, it'd be probably impossible to count them. At least improbable. And in any given moment in our past, those parts are created. And when we have a parts conflict, when one part of us is saying to do X, Y, Z, and another part is saying, no. That's when we get very frustrated with ourselves. But it's can we bring the parts together? Can we show the younger part, usually, that the stronger, more capable part can take over? We can do things differently from what we've learnt and get them to, work together instead. Or let that younger part, allow ourselves to lean into the feelings of taking the action that feels too similar to that younger part, to train ourselves and our subconscious to realizing that it's safe to do so now. It's safe to operate in a different way. And maybe it was back then, maybe it wasn't, but we've got to train our subconscious. We've got to lean into the stuff that feels uncomfortable, that feels unsafe, in order to reprogram ourselves to be able to move forward with the things that we self-sabotage on. Parts work, all our parts conflicting. And I'm talking about 2 parts, but we have thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of parts of ourselves frozen in time from a moment in our past that could be conflicting, at war with each other, leading to all the self-sabotage. So yeah, and what part is coming up? What parts? There's got to be a lot of parts for me, coming up with why do I sabotage so so deeply, so often. And at what point is it just like a learned behavior that I'm just running on autopilot, and like at what point, do I say enough is enough and lean into the discomfort? Like, to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. But we really like to be comfortable. I mean, I know I do. So, having said that, there's some people that might look at my life, especially in the past 6 months, and think, whoa, she really leans into discomfort. Because, I moved countries without much of a plan, sold my car in order to make it work, haven't been able to have a car in order to make it work, so I've been catching public transport, having to allow sometimes 2 hours to get somewhere, just for like a few hours of work, if that. I've not had a home for the past 5 months, 5.5 months. I've been either staying at hostels in a pod if I'm lucky, or maybe on a bunk bed, or staying in a friend's spare room, or house sitting. And right now I am actually technically renting, but it's at a friend's spare room, so it's like this is the closest I've been to having a home in a while, but I still don't know how long it'll be for. So it's quite uncomfortable to not have a home and then have to lug all your stuff around with you. And I'm very, very thankful and grateful for the friends that I have that have held on to some of my stuff for me, because it's been less to lug around. But I've also got a job where I have to a degree, model the clothing, because I'm such a model. So I have got a bit of a uniform going now from that, and being, retail clothing. Our clothes don't stay in stock that long, so I'll get some stuff to wear to work, and then within a couple of months, like, there's stuff that I can't, like what I'm wearing today pretty much is not in store anymore. So I technically can wear it to work, but it's better if I wear something that we can actually sell. Because, sometimes when I do model the clothing, people buy it, and it's a great choice. And I really love the clothes, so I'm very happy about that. And, like, honestly, I work in an outlet, we have the best deals, so, like, it's not breaking the bank, thankfully. But yeah, it has accumulated much more for me to lug around, and I already, had more stuff than I wanted to be lugging around. So anyway, that's led to another whole suitcase, which was needed to be, I need to replace the old one, but at the moment I'm just using 2. So yeah. So I've been very uncomfortable with all that going on. But also it's very easy to make the excuse of it's a bit hard to create routines for myself when I don't know where I am any given week. But having said that, I feel like I'm now heading into more of a season of slightly more stability. So now is a perfect time for me to try and cultivate these habits for myself, and just start in small ways, because I need this. Like, I need this to show up here, for one. I want to be providing value. I have so much to share as a coach, and if I don't look after these small habits for myself first, I'll just keep putting it off. I've been putting it off for literally years. Like, I first trained as a coach in 2021. I had fully graduated in the very start, I think it was February 2022. It is now 2026, so I have reset the course another 2 times, so 3 times all up I've done it. But even that was like over 2 years ago that I last did that. So I still play with these tools, and I do have a paying client right now, but I want to, but we're doing so well. Like, I'm like, she's getting so much out of it, and I love that. And who else is out there that need my services, and I just am not showing up to the point that they can actually put their hand up, Like, the way I got this client was just through serendipity, really. But, like, it's just wild to me. Like, I know I'm on a bit of a ramble here tonight, and it's mostly about me and my habits and my own psychosis. Yeah. And I just know I have so much to give to the world. There's so much hurt in the world that doesn't need to be there. Like, there's so much, like, we hurt ourselves by not putting ourselves first. But we hurt others around us because we don't believe we're worthy of, being whatever, and what, I don't know, like, being whatever we want to be to that person. Okay, like, I mean, I am thinking romantically right now. Like, there's, like, how often romantically do we not believe we're worthy of someone, and so we self-sabotage how we show up with that person. And then, the moment passes. It's such a divine alchemy to meet someone, to have mutual attraction, to then choose to then commit to each other, to then also note that your values and your lifestyle aligns. This is all, like, part of the 4 pillars that Matthew Hussey, credible life coach and relationships dynamics coach, teaches. Like, the 4 stages are, like, the first one is you can like someone, but they cannot know who you are. They could be a celebrity for the second is, and this is when we think, like, a relationship is top notch. It's the best of the best. Creme de la creme is when you have mutual attraction, but that's, like, just beginning stage. Like, without commitment and then, like, values aligning, you don't, like, that's never going to be a long-term relationship. So yeah. But, like, how much in that earlier, like, I mean, so I'm a rom-com girly. I love them. And, like, the tension's got to be there for the story to be exciting. And in real life, I don't want that tension to be there because, well, you do. You want the tension to be. You don't want the miscommunication to happen. That kind of where they get each other wrong, that their wires cross, and then they think, and then they start, like, especially in the ones where they, like, hate each other but they don't. Like, that's a great example. Where they kind of try and play it cool in front of a friend and don't realize that the other person's listening, and then end up creating an enemy. But then it's only after a while, and, like, the right alchemy of time and place and friendship dynamics and whatever comes into play, that they then have that moment of being able to be like, oh no, I actually felt this way, and I was just like, and that wasn't actually a thing. I was just having a moment trying to get my mate off my back, and you realize, oh, we could have been enjoying each other and, like, spending time together for this whole time, like, and who knows how long's passed, like, how many months, years, sometimes even decades. And that's just, it's sad. It's sad. It's a good story. But, like, in real life, you just don't know which seed that you plant is going to lead somewhere. With dating, like, I mean, with online dating, honestly, I just look at that first date. It doesn't seem romantic at all, but I just look at it as like an interview. And I've had to try and reframe that for myself a little bit because, like, that's, okay, not very romantic. But it's like, as a woman, you need to make sure that you feel safe. And I need to get a vibe check. Like, this first meeting is just a vibe check. Like, is this dude even worth my time? And yeah, it's not until I've had a moment away from the date's ended, that I usually even decide whether I feel romantically or not. To a degree. Not always. And like, I mean, I've been surprised before because my head was still very much thinking, this is a lovely person, but I hadn't had enough time by myself to be like, this guy is amazing. I want to go there. I so want to jump his bones. And yeah, anyway, so like, there's been times I've been surprised because on that first meeting, that first date, like I hadn't had that, honestly, would have been about probably 30 seconds with myself to realize, oh, yeah, no, this guy's cool. I want to go for this. But like, I've been surprised with a kiss. And I've just been like, whoa, mentally was not ready and rearing for that. But great, we'll lean into it because, you know, who doesn't love a good make-out sesh? And anyway, yeah. And then like sometimes I think, wow, that was actually really cool that somebody was bold and made that first move, because at some point I decided like it was on me, and like I was like, oh, I'm a feminist. I can go and take the first move and all that. But I realized over the years that I'm actually, depends on the guy, emasculating them usually, and I need to be led. I need to receive. And that's really hard for me because I've just learned to be hyper independent, do everything on my own. But then I'm just like, I'm trying to milk. I'm trying to milk something out of someone that is giving me basically nothing some of the times. This particular guy I was talking about, like, did not, like, he was lovely and talked, and I didn't have to lead the conversation, and it was wonderful. But also, you know, traveling. He was traveling and I was not, and sometimes, you know, lifestyles don't align. Or at least weren't aligning in that moment. I don't know. Anyway, you can meet really wonderful people, but, you know, they're not looking for a long-term thing, and that's frustrating. Even if they say they are on their profile. I don't know how I got onto this rant. I was just thinking how we sabotage ourselves in general, but also to do with romantic relationships, and how small moments can lead to a complete misconception on both or either party's side, that just means people aren't connecting when they could have something magical. So that makes me sad. Yeah. Anyway, I'm delving into this whole what's going on with my parts to lead to the self-sabotage thing. And I have been delving into this, you know, since I learned about parts in 2021, my first course. But also in a way with my personal development journey right since 2012 when I first did, you know, this thing called the Landmark Forum, which is a brilliant way to really reframe how you see the world and how you show up for your life. So yeah, that was a 3-day seminar I did back then, and my God, it changed my life. It was so good, so good. Love that energy. So yeah, I keep doing the work, and yet I still have my moments. And to be honest, I don't have a structure around me to have me, like that's outside of me, to keep me showing up to do my own work. And to a degree, I am using this YouTube channel to try and show up when I can't, like have some kind of structure to show up for external for me, even when I can't afford to pay a coach, for instance. Yeah, and I've got to look at that for myself because I feel like I can't afford to pay a coach. I feel like no one can afford to pay for me, even though everyone's reality is not the same as mine. Everyone's perspective is not the same as mine. They might be earning bank, or like maybe not earning bank, but earning enough, but they're like miserable, and haven't figured there's so much that they need to uncover that is weighing them down. Maybe they're depressed, maybe there's just things going on for them and they just feel like they're getting pulled along with whatever comes up for them in their life instead of actually creating what they want. And there's like so many places I can help with this, so I need to overcome or keep overcoming my self-sabotage. I know it's not something, like it's something I'll always have to work at, and that's okay. Like, you don't do a personal development course and then you're one and done and everything's bright and shiny. No, like you've got to keep showing up and doing the work. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying here, but I wish we took more time for conversations with ourselves and our parts in order to heal them, get them to work together, stop self-sabotaging, show up for what we want in our lives, but also not have that self-sabotage then show up that leads to us missing connection in our life that could make our life really beautiful and juicy and wonderful. And, you know, I mean that in friendships as well. I know I talked about romantic relationships, but like also, yeah, friendships and with your family and with, you know, your colleagues and anyone you meet, really, like cultivating more connection is something this world needs. And also not othering people that you meet that might have differing opinions to a degree. Like, and I mean that for more people outside, like romantic relationships. For romantic relationships, I believe you have to be pretty well aligned as to where you want to be, within reason. But yeah, like how can we find ways to bridge the gap between the people that we don't necessarily agree with but still care for? Like how can we cultivate connection there? How can we be curious about how they view the world differently instead of allowing this divisiveness that's happening in the world right now? Because we're becoming more and more divided, more and more insular, stuck on these devices, sitting at home alone on a Saturday night. Oh my gosh, it's a Saturday night. And yeah, we wonder why we're not connecting, why life doesn't feel as exciting anymore. And then you have a beautiful moment where you're laughing with a friend and you're like, oh, this is what life's about. So yeah, anyway, I have rambled on here for long enough now. But I hope you find the strength to look at your self-sabotage, which parts of you are speaking, and just get curious as to how could we heal that relationship between the two, and cultivate connection between them first in order to then cultivate your own way to show up and nurture more connection in your life, build more connection in your life, and get the love and the joy that comes with that. Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it there. Much love. See you tomorrow.